What's up guys, in this video we have something that I've been pretty excited to take a look at for a while. For those of you that don't know, I started my home gym back at the beginning of all the shutdowns due to COVID and everything like that, and one of the things that I purchased was the Rep AB-5100, which is the bench that I'm sitting on right now. And I did not purchase the optional leg attachment that goes on the top at the time. The leg attachment will allow you to do your decline stuff and things like that, so you can hook your feet in at the top, lay backwards, you can do your decline bench work, do your decline ab work, things like that. Because at the time I was just trying to save a little bit of money and trying to make sure every dollar went into the things that I really immediately needed in order to keep getting results from my workout. And then now that it's been a few months and we've kind of been slowly adding to the home gym equipment, I decided that I did want to go back and add in this leg attachment right here, just because I wanted to be able to do some of that decline stuff, particularly with the abs. I don't do a whole lot of decline presses, but I did want to be able to do some decline ab work. So I did want to go ahead and pick this up, and now that it's in, let's open it up, take a look at it, and we'll see how I like it. But before we get into the video, hi, my name is Ryan Treadaway, founder of TreadawayTraining.com, where we turn skinny guys into jacked men. If you want more information on body transforming training and nutrition topics every Sunday, consider subscribing. And I know I've been a little bit sparse on content the past couple of months. There's been a few weekends that I've missed uploading, and I do apologize for that. Please bear with me here. There are a couple of great reasons why I have been a little bit busier lately and haven't been able to upload. And one of them is that the Treadaway Training, the actual business, has been booming for the past couple of months. I've been taking on a ton of clients, so I've kind of been up to my neck making sure that I have all of them taken care of, since that is the actual work that pays the bills. And then additionally, and more importantly, my wife is pregnant with our first kid, so she's been in that nausea stage a little bit, and I've been helping out a little bit more around the house. So between those two things, it has been pretty hectic, but I do plan to be a little bit more consistent with videos going forward. And over the next few weeks, since we are at Christmas time, we are at that gift giving time of the year, I am going to be doing some reviews throughout November and December. So if you have some loved ones that like lifting and they might want some garage gym equipment, or they might want some gym accessories, or they might want some supplements, I will have some more reviews coming up through Christmas time to kind of help you guys out with that gift giving season. Forgive me for this long intro. Let's get into the video. So inside we have the instructions, some social media stuff, hardware, the rail that hold the foot pads, the part that attaches it to the bench itself, the foot pads where you hook your feet into. So let's go ahead and put this together and we'll see how it looks. Got it put together, kind of had to play with it a little bit. There's 4 different adjustment points for the second part over here, so depending on your length of your legs and things like that, you'll kind of have to play around with it to see which notch is right for you. It's not a huge deal to adjust it. It does have you'll take 2 screws out, take the pad off, slide it out, slide it into another one. So I mean, it's not like the fastest thing ever to adjust, but I mean, if as long as you have the Allen key handy that comes in the box, or another set of Allen keys handy, it'll only take you like 1 minute to adjust, maybe 2 minutes to adjust at the most. And it's not like it's something that you're really gonna adjust that much anyway. If you have a couple of different people using it and you need 2 different adjustments and you're taking turns doing your sets, that would probably be annoying, and it's not going to be something that you're going to want to do. But I would say for most people, as long as 2 people who are working out together are remotely similar in height, you'll be able to find an adjustment that works for both of you, and you're not going to be having to change it all the time. So once you kind of find that right place for you, you're probably just going to leave it there forever anyway, so that's not a big deal. As far as my initial impressions on the piece as a whole, I will say it does not feel quite as premium as the bench. If you watched my AB-5100 review, I gave it a very glowing, just overwhelmingly positive review. I love this bench. It feels quality, it feels premium. It's one of the, if not the best benches on the market at this price point. So this piece feels a little bit lesser quality in comparison. Now that's not to say that it feels cheap, it just doesn't feel quite as premium as the bench itself. Now with that said, if you're watching this video to start with, if you're watching, if you're considering getting this piece anyway, that probably already means that you have the bench. So I mean, it's not like you're going to be shopping around between different attachments to add onto your bench. It's basically you're going to be deciding if you want this or if you don't want this. And based on my initial impression so far, I would say 100% recommendation. Like I said, it's a little bit lesser in quality in comparison to the bench itself, but it's not cheap feeling. I mean, it still feels, relatively decent quality. And it's not like something like the bench itself where you're just going to be beating it up. If you're doing step-ups on the bench and putting your feet on the bench, or if you're benching a ton of weight on the bench, or you're moving it around, getting up and down, potentially banging the bench into stuff if you're not very careful when you're moving around. So this is going to be taking a lot less abuse than the actual bench. So as far as like longevity and everything, it's probably fine. I'm not worried about it degrading over time. It's probably going to last you as long as the bench. Now I am going to use this for a couple of weeks, and then in the second half of this video I'll come back and I'll kind of give you my final thoughts and final recommendations on if I would recommend you to purchase this specific accessory for your AB-5100, and if I feel like it's worth the money for you to spend your hard-earned dollars on this piece for your home gym. What's up guys? After having a chance to use this piece a few times now, my initial impressions pretty much hold true. I like it a lot. It's a really good piece of equipment. The quality that I had mentioned in the beginning, I still stand by that. I consider it to be not bad quality, it's just not to the quality of the bench itself. I would say that it's good, not great, is what I would say. Now that said, like I said in the beginning, if you're looking at this video, if you're looking at this piece of equipment, it's probably because you already have this bench and you're looking to add this to it. So it's not a question of this versus something else, it's just a question of should you get this or should you not get this. Now, if you're the type of person, you're watching this video because you're considering getting this bench and the leg attachment along with it, and you're trying to decide on the leg attachment so that you can make a decision on the bench, if you're that person, I would still say I highly, highly recommend this as a combo. If you want to watch my full review on the bench itself, you can watch that up in the cards or down in the description. But this bench is amazing. In my opinion, it is one of, if not the best bench on the market at this price point. And then adding this extra leg attachment on top of that is going to give you that much more versatility. The only bench that I'm aware of that you can get similar to this and also have that leg attachment is the Rogue AB-3, I believe. And that one is like $1,000, or maybe it's like $900. And this as a package is $400 for the bench and then $80 for the leg attachment. So you're looking at $480 versus $900. And I feel like this bench is of better quality than the Rogue bench. So you can go back and watch this video if you want. Now, there are a few notes that you should be aware of. There are a couple of drawbacks to this. Speaking to the quality again, if you look at the little end caps right here, it appears that these, I can't confirm this, but just by looking at it, it appears that these are made of a cheaper metal and they're just coated in some type of metallic. Maybe they're painted silver. So these are a little bit of cheaper quality. That said, you're probably not going to be messing with these ever, and unless you're just banging metal on metal, they're probably not ever gonna have an issue anyway. I just did want to go ahead and mention that. And the last thing in terms of quality is you'll notice there is a little bit of wiggle. If I kind of shake it pretty hard, there's a little bit of wiggle in that attachment. Not a whole lot, and I would say that that's not a concern, because once you actually hook your feet in and there's pressure applied to the attachment, I didn't really notice much wiggle. There was a tiny bit of wiggle once when I was kind of shimmying around trying to get myself adjusted, but once I was in place, I didn't notice really any wiggle with either the ab work or the pressing, particularly the pressing, because you're not moving a whole lot. You're kind of locked in that nice strong stance, and then all you're really moving is through here. So I didn't notice any wiggling with the pressing, and I didn't notice really any with the ab work either. So I would say there's not any concern for wobbliness when it comes to this attachment. And finally, the last drawback, which is going to be a drawback no matter what type of bench you use of this kind, is going to be the butt pad, the seat part of the bench, because when you're laying back on this bench, your head is going to be resting on this pad, and depending on the angle that you have this at, how much of a decline you're at, it may or may not be an issue in terms of comfort, because it's going to be bending your neck a little bit. I would say, based on my height, I'm 6 foot, I would say if you're anywhere around my height, plus or minus 3 or 4 inches, so as long as you're anywhere near my height, I would say you're not going to have a problem at your typical decline settings. If you're using this for decline presses, I pressed with it at 30 degrees and at 15 degrees. That's going to be your two most common decline positions. I didn't necessarily notice any discomfort from my neck being on this seat right here, but if you're at 45 degrees, that I would consider to be unusable. That said, I'm pretty sure nobody's going to be doing decline presses at 45 degrees, and it is still completely usable if you're doing 45 degree decline ab work, because you're going to have that spinal flexion going on, so your head's not going to be touching that back pad unless you're like 6'5" or 6'6". You're going to have to be really, really tall to not be able to use this bench for ab work at 45 degrees. And if you're 6'5" or 6'6", I'm sorry, but you're just not going to be able to use a bench like this anyway for a whole lot of decline work. You're just going to have to get a dedicated decline bench because you're so tall. So I mean, as long as you're of average height, or maybe even a little bit taller than average height, I would say you're going to be good to go. You're not going to run into any issues with your head touching the seat, because that is something that I really wanted to test out and make sure of, because as soon as I put this on there and noticed how it didn't sit completely level, the back pad and the seat part, that is something I wanted to extensively test. And for me personally, I would say I don't have an issue with it at any of the heights that you're realistically going to be using. So you can use it at any height for ab work without a problem, and then you could use it for decline pressing work at 15 degrees or 30 degrees with no problem. But once you go up to 45 plus degrees, you're not really going to be able to use it for pressing unless you're extremely short and your head just isn't on the seat pad at all. Overall, I would highly, highly recommend the leg attachment if you already have this bench, or if you have the AB-5000 bench, it'll also accept that. Or if you're looking to get this bench or the AB-5000 and then also add this to it. In either of those scenarios, I would definitely highly recommend you get this piece, because one of the challenges of working out at home is that with each piece you have, you want to make sure that that piece is as versatile as possible so that you can make the most of the space that you have to work out in. If you are interested in checking out this piece, I have a link down in the description. Remember, if you want to check out the review on the bench itself, that is also down in the description as well. If you like the video, give a thumbs up. If you hate it, give a thumbs down. If you want more content just like this, consider subscribing, or you can check out one of the videos that will be up on the screen. You can also check out our private Facebook group, Skinny to Jack Society, which will be down in the description as well. As always, God bless you and your family, and we'll see you next week. I need to insert this part earlier in the video. So editing Ryan, remember this.